Today I'm going to tell you a story about my agent friend Carl with a K, who utilized some great strategies to help his clients buy a house in a relatively short period of time. So today I'm going to tell you a real estate story. So as I mentioned, my friend Carl with a K has been working with these clients for probably over a year, and they just never had the time to get serious about the buying process. They own a business together, and they're just crazy busy. But one day they decided to get serious. So they met with their lender, got all the information they knew that they could provide to find out how much they could afford and all that kind of good stuff. That's step number one in any real estate transaction, is know your numbers. So after all that, they took the pre-approval letter, they went and met with Carl and talked about the needs and wants between the two of them. They obviously had been thinking about this for a while, so they had a good idea of what they wanted. However, as we always find out in these types of conversations, and Carl had the same experience, the husband had specific needs and the wife had specific other needs that they really needed to meet in order to agree on the final product. Things like storage, garages, natural light, a fenced yard was important, age of the home, appliances, things like that. And of course, staying under budget is the type of conversations that they had with their agent that day. So armed with this information, Carl created an auto search, which helps identify homes on the market that meet the criteria that were discussed during their meeting. Everyone was psyched to go see homes. They actually toured 5 homes that week, which gave them a good opportunity to see what was on the market, think about what it is they really wanted in a home, and all on the path to try and find the right home. So the fourth showing turned out to be a real winner. The house had everything they wanted. It was in a great neighborhood. It had HOA. It had a fenced yard. It had some green space. On and on and on and on. So they were going to make an offer. So Carl talked to them a little bit. Actually, Carl reached out to the agent, talked to the agent who actually picked up her phone, which is always nice, and talked about the seller situation and what they were trying to accomplish. During that conversation, Carl realized that they might have a little more time than they think, because nothing's going to happen today on that particular listing. So he suggested to his clients that they go home and talk about it some more and sleep on it, which is always a great idea, which is what they did. So the next morning, of course, they had a change of heart. As we mentioned, everything in this house was right for them, but the one thing that stood out is that there was a couple rooms in the house that they weren't sure what they were going to do with. So in reality, they were paying top dollar for rooms that they had no reason to have, and there's also the HVAC component, that they're air heating and cooling 2 rooms in this house that they weren't sure they were going to do with. So they changed their mind, which is perfectly fine. So they went back to work. Home number 5 was actually found on a rainy Saturday morning. The auto search coughed up a home that looked ideal, and Carl made an appointment at 9:30 that morning, and they went over and toured the home. When they arrived, the agent hadn't even arrived yet with the lockbox. So what that happened, Carl and his clients were able to actually talk to the agent a little bit that morning while she was letting them in the house. So they toured the house, absolutely loved it, and then Carl learned that they were having an open house later that day. So he suggested, before we make an offer, that they go through the house again that afternoon and walk through with a different set of eyes. And can they imagine themselves living there in this house, the second time through? Of course they did, so they wanted to write up an offer, and they got right on it. They also got a chance, though, well, more important is that they got a chance to talk to the agent again at that house, so the agent got to know them a little bit. So they were super excited to write up an offer on this house. So Carl wrote up a solid offer and had it on the selling agent's desk by 4:30 that afternoon. Ongoing communication occurred between Carl and the selling agent, and they also included a deadline on that offer so that it would expire the next day. So they're trying to get a quick decision from the sellers. So they talked back and forth all day long and thought they were going to be the only offer until they weren't. A last-minute offer came in before the deadline that was a little bit better than the offer Carl and his clients had thought about. So the selling agent, being a good agent that she is, came back to Carl and his clients and asked if they would be entertain a counter offer, which of course they are willing to do. So that's exactly what happened. They wrote up a counter offer. Carl powwowed with his clients and they accepted the counter offer, and next thing you know, they had the home of their dreams.
Nice.
The moral of the story is that Carl and his clients were very well prepared to go buy a house. They had a strategy, they knew what they were looking for, and they executed against that strategy. Doesn't always work out that way, but at the end of the day, two very, very busy people paid attention for 7 days, saw 5 houses, and won the first offer that they made on their house. So if you or your friends want to meet a great agent named Carl with a K, give me a call and I'll hook you guys up.